So let's talk for just a few minutes about what sellers have in store for next year. Of course, you guys are going to be in a good position. Home prices are still expected to rise, although at a more reasonable rate. But what's interesting is that as a nation, we have over $35 trillion in value that is just unprecedented. And so as you sell, you're going to have a nice amount of equity in your home that we can put into another property or do whatever you want with that money. We have a lot of folks that are selling their home right now and just deciding to move into something that's a little more manageable, especially when we're talking about some of the older populations. Maybe we've got kids that have left the home and they've got more home than they need, more home than they want to maintain or handle. And so they're taking that equity and maybe they're stashing it away in their retirement fund or their investment accounts or whatever the case might be. But what's interesting is that more than 1 in 4 homeowners right now are choosing not to sell because of the lack of inventory. And so we get that kind of statement very often. Yeah, I'd sell my home right now, but I can't find anything to move into that I'm happy with, so I guess we'll just stay. I implore you, if you're listening to this program and you would like to sell your home, but you don't need to sell your home, which I think is probably a lot of people, then let us at least look through our database, or at least let me put my team to work to see if I can uncover a property for you that you would be interested in purchasing that's not currently available. You're not going to be able to find these homes on Zillow or realtor.com or even online through like the MLS. We've got a massive database of people that have expressed intent. We know their motivation. We know their time frame. We know what their home looks like. They will be selling at some point in the future, but they're just like you. They're in a position where, yeah, I'd like to sell right now. I just don't know where to go. So let us see if we can connect the dots for you. That's, I think, what the really good real estate agents are doing right now. The question is, do they have the ability to do that? Do they have the bandwidth to do that? Are they set up systematically? Do they have the processes? Do they have the lead generation? There's a lot that goes into being able to offer something like that to the general public. It's something we've been doing for years. It's something we're very good at, quite frankly. We'd love the opportunity to try and match you up with someone else that wants to sell their home. But we can find buyers for sellers and we can find sellers for buyers. If you'll just give us a chance, we can exhaust those resources before you kind of decide indefinitely just to stay. If it's the lack of inventory that's holding you back, I'm just here to tell you that there are ways of finding it. You just have to align with somebody that knows how to do that. Now, I think something else that might be interesting on the seller side is that as appreciation slows down a little bit, as affordability continues to creep up, I think sellers are going to see some more competition next year. I think more people are going to decide to sell their home, which is going to make it not challenging, but a little more challenging than it is right now. And let's be fair. Kind of sellers have an unfair advantage in this market right now, given the extreme lack of inventory and the extreme pace at which properties have been appreciating. And so that's going to mean maybe putting a little more time and effort into the preparation phase before you put your home on the market. It used to be, several months ago that you really didn't have to do much of anything. And of course, this is market by market. There could be, a home in an area in a price range where it's just so hot that buyers aren't going to nickel and dime you over the cosmetic things that you probably should change before selling a home, but are choosing not to. I think some of those elements will continue to remain next year, but I think especially as you get higher in price, especially into the luxury markets and the secondary markets, the vacation markets, it's going to be important that your home is prepped and ready to sell, because that's what's going to help you get top dollar. With a little bit more inventory, I think it's going to come the necessity for you to prep your home for sale. Now, the great news is, we've got checklists of things that you can do to prep your home for sale. We have, professional stagers. We can stage virtually. We've got a whole list of contractors that are vetted, approved by us, that we use consistently that can help you with those projects so that you don't have to shop. And if anybody has hired contractors recently or bid jobs to be done at their home, you know that contractors are extremely busy. And as a result of that, they are charging what they want to charge. So I just be careful if you're going to get into a big project. Make sure you diversify. Make sure you interview multiple people. Get it all in writing. If you need suggestions, we're here for you. Now, on the seller side, we are going to continue to offer our 2.4% listing commission. So if you're interested in selling your home, let's first determine what it's worth. Let's talk about the process of selling, where we're going to go next, and just game plan it out together. I can be reached at 843-800-0065, 843-800-0065, or go to listingsincharleston.com. We can talk more about that process. Now, I just want to focus for a quick second on investors. I think next year, investors are going to see some really solid returns from their investments in the housing market. With home prices expected to rise, existing owners are in a good position, and rising rents are likely to entice investor buyers to continue to purchase homes, even as rising mortgage rates challenge those potential returns. So after, frankly, an unusual year last year in which more investors were sellers than buyers, this year saw investors buying more homes at a greater rate than they were selling them. And so we're going to see, I think, some more investors that are okay with taking on debt because of the projected rise in rental rates. Now, this is, of course, on the buy and hold side of investment property. If we're looking at flipping, it's not quite as sunny as it is right now because of the massive amount of appreciation and how quickly properties are rising in price. Once those prices become more reasonable and property appreciates at a more moderate level, it's not to say that flipping a property is a bad idea by any stretch of the imagination, because you can flip anything. It just depends on what you can buy the property for. That's really the name of the game in investment real estate. You can't control the sales price nearly as much as you can control the purchase price. And I'll tell you that we have worked with a lot of investors. I'm an investor myself. We work with institutional investors. We're the exclusive agent for an investor for the entire state of South Carolina. They do 30 to 40 deals a month. So I think that as things like the eviction process and the holds on evictions and the moratoriums on evictions are lifted, a lot of those landlords that are in New York and LA and Chicago are looking for different areas that have solid returns, where they've got a population of people that want to buy or rent, and they are landlord-friendly states, meaning it's easier to evict somebody. Charleston is certainly an area that investors will flock to. That and Greenville. Greenville is actually positioned to be one of the top 10 markets next year. They've got like an 11% anticipated appreciation. Some markets and not some markets, but some experts are saying that Charleston pricing is going to go up by about 5%. We'll see. I think it's still a little too early to tell. But if you're an investor, if you want to get into investing, then allow us the opportunity to help coach you in this current market. Let's help identify what you're looking for. Let's work through that process together, establish some boundaries with regard to ROI, and then it's just a matter of finding the right homes. So if that's something I can do for you, 843-800-0065, 843-800-0065, or listingsincharleston.com. Thanks so much for listening. You guys enjoy the rest of your weekend right here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA and the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show.
Join us for another edition of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show next Saturday morning at 9 and Sunday morning at 10. Contact Brian Beatty online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Or call him at 843-400-8009. That's 843-400-8009.